Hello there. This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2 Episode 6 review video titled Tribe. We're going to go ahead and hop right on into it. Of course, it should go without saying that yes, there are spoilers ahead for this episode and for The Bad Batch Season 2. If you haven't already, go watch it. It's absolutely amazing, especially compared to those previous last two episodes. In this video, I want to take a read from dorksideoftheforce.com. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. This episode's feel was very similar to that of what one of the Star Wars The Clone Wars episodes would be, and that doesn't seem like a mistake at all. There were several planned episodes for the series that were created by Dave Filoni, and it seems like those ideas have been integrated into the timeline of The Bad Batch. This episode showcases some of the best action sequences we have had seen so far throughout the second season. However, of course, this episode does raise more questions than it does answer, as we wonder more about GUNGI's ultimate fate. For one thing, this episode primarily focuses on the return of youngling Padawan Jedi GUNGI. The main focus of this episode has to be GUNGI, who was previously featured in Star Wars The Clone Wars alongside a group of younglings who trained with Ahsoka and Master Yoda while building their episodes. A phenomenal Clone Wars arc, one of my favorites. We have seen a little insight into GUNGI's past, but quite a few gaps remain. We still don't know who his master was, how he lived through Order 66, or even where he was during Order 66. And that the article is sure that those theories about GUNGI rescuing Grogu from the Jedi Temple will swirl, and that would be awesome if that were to be the case, but for now we simply don't really know that and have any understanding to that and have enough to say to really support with any of that. However, skipping to the present time, when we find GUNGI in the Bad Batch, is more than willing, of course, to help him out. Understandably, he was afraid of the clones, but not Omega. I am curious if GUNGI, or any other Jedi for that matter, would be able to sense that Omega is also a clone, and for that matter, we still don't know what or if has any special or modifications to herself. Nonetheless, a great, I guess, episode to have GUNGI return here to, having the spotlight shine on this fan favorite character from Star Wars The Clone Wars and making him so much more, making him so much bigger. And on top of that, quite honestly, in my own thoughts and opinions, I was honestly really blown away from a lot of the action sequences with the lightsabers and GUNGI's overall Jedi skills here as well that were showcased throughout this episode. Fingers crossed that this would be something that we would be able to see in the future of the Bad Batch animated show, not only just with this show, but also the future Star Wars. There is the potential for GUNGI to show up in the Mandoverse in live action. However, moving alongside from GUNGI in this episode, the main focus of this episode has to be the concept that GUNGI and Omega are simply kids growing up in a continuing war. Both Omega and GUNGI have been trained for combat essentially since birth, but even still, we see their youthful stubbornness rear its head, but they both charge headlong into battle. While a Wookiee Jedi after Order 66 would certainly be an absolutely terrifying thing for anyone to see, it also makes GUNGI a target. As a kid, both Omega and GUNGI are hopeful, whether it is to be Omega's instance on helping others, or GUNGI's connection through the Force potentially to the trees. Both of them show the innocence and selflessness of simple kids. It was also uplifting to see that the Bad Batch has respect for the Wookiees' traditions and go with the plan, though that they probably thought was silly, but it eventually did work, of course. Overall, as a final thoughts and opinions here from the article, the idea of a tribe and GUNGI finally being able to return makes an excellent story for the Bad Batch. This is the kind of work that Echo and possibly the audience of the show have really been looking forward to, and I have to agree right along with that. This is something that I really want to see, is having the Bad Batch go up against the Empire more rather than just laying low and trying to hide from everything. It was also quite nostalgic at the same time to see clones working with the Jedi again, and comforting at the same time to know that at least one of those beloved younglings made it out of Order 66 again, and nonetheless to just have a Jedi in general knowing that they survived Order 66 and that the Jedi legacy does continue. This was one of the best episodes of the entirety of the show, and I personally really loved it. Now, from there, that's where the article concludes, and as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have this article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. There would be one little bit of a problem, however, with this overall episode. Something, of course, that a lot of Star Wars fans out there would love to see in the future of the Bad Batch show is to see more of GUNGI, and not just him, but other another Jedi, possibly, fingers crossed, Ezra Bridger, or Kanan Jarrus, or even Ahsoka Tano, I think is a very likely choice out there as well. However, the problem with having Jedi in this show is that takes away from what the show is. The show is The Bad Batch, about these modified clone troopers that served in the Clone Wars and how they're going to, I guess, go on with their lives, of course, and that there is a direction that we need to really, I think, begin to see here with Season 2 in order for this show to really work and have a cause of where it's going. Now, for right now, it feels like a lot of these episodes would be filler, and that is something that's been commonly discussed here with The Bad Batch show, not just for Season 2, but also Season 1 as well, where you just have these random episodes that don't mean anything. Take example, the previous episode. I had a very short review on that, and I really just did not like that episode whatsoever. So this episode, and also featuring the Wookiee Jedi of GUNGI, I think really makes up for that. Having episodes that are more fulfilling, essentially, to those plot lines that they have already set up here, such as Sid, and if the Bad Batch can really trust her, has been an ongoing kind of plot line and theme for the entirety of the show, ever since like the first 2 episodes. And of course, what's going on with Crosshair. Not just Crosshair anymore at this point, but also Cody. And really with that, there's so much more, and something that kind of seems like they want to set up here with Season 2 that was even looked at and poked at in the marketing, promoting, and for the trailer for the second season of The Bad Batch, is that Echo especially really wants to do more with taking down the Empire and fighting up against them. Something that, as I had previously mentioned with previous Bad Batch episode review videos, is how that's similar to what we see with the Andor show and having like a rebellion against the Empire. Now, aside from all that, going back to the topic of GUNGI, the Jedi Padawan featured in episode 6, season 2 of The Bad Batch, as I had earlier on mentioned in this video, seeing that another Jedi, of course, has survived the events of Order 66 is great to see. Something that's more comforting, even at that. A kind of beloved character from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, even though he only appeared in like 1 or 2 episodes from that animated show. However, to see that Dave Filoni is bringing this character back to maybe play a more prominent and larger role in the future of The Bad Batch Season 2 and the overall show as The Bad Batch animated show just as a whole, but not only just with that, but also in the potential of live action. Bringing this character into the Mandoverse, I think, is something, fingers crossed, that we could have the potential to see. There are so many different questions about the Wookiee Jedi GUNGI that are simply unanswered, that we don't know a whole lot about. As the article had mentioned, who his master was, where was he during Order 66, and everything like that. Those are the types of questions that all of us Star Wars fans really do have, but I mean, that's something that, like, we didn't really, I guess, ask all that much then previously before, when we had him in the Clone Wars. We didn't really care that much about that all that much, but now, as we're seeing this character come back, and it's like, oh, this character might be a little bit larger and a little bit bigger than we initially thought, it's something that we would want to see more of and explain more of with. So, fingers crossed that we do get to see more with GUNGI, and more explaining his previous past and also his future. Anyway, of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you guys think here about The Bad Batch Season 2 Episode 6, titled Tribe? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.